Man, I sure do love walking through the Drakewald forest without regard for my own personal safety.
Hi, Squidward.
Beastmen have had a long history in Total War, and for the most part, it hasn't been great. I'm sure we all remember pre-Silence and Fury when nobody wanted to even touch these guys because of how weak and kinda outright boring they were as a race. But if the Torox DLC is what saved the race, then why is this a Khazrak video? Because I need to milk this series for all it's worth, that's why. Besides, being the most physically generic legendary lord in the Beastmen roster doesn't come without its perks. Ever since their rework, Khazrak has received plenty of incentives for players to keep choosing him amongst his peers for reasons other than just his start position in the Empire. And considering that it's actually really easy to acquire all the other lords during a Beastmen campaign, start position is a pretty important factor when choosing who you want to pick to start. Sure, he's not a giant metal minotaur blessed by the blood god himself, or the mutant bane of Queen Ariel with a respawn timer faster than the vampires, or a flying shaman who has an extremely high speed stat for some reason. He is the warlord of warlords, the bestest of gores. His uniqueness comes from the armies he creates rather than his own personal strength, which, don't get me wrong, can still be quite high. His faction effects include a minus 15% cost of dread options, making increasing unit caps cheaper and easier, an additional 15% ambush success chance, which is insanely important, but the most interesting factors you see here are poison for Ungors, which is great in the first 30-ish turns, and Vanguard deployment for Bestigors. If you weren't previously aware of the Beastmen hierarchy, you have the Ungors, which are under the Gors, and then you have the Bestigors, which are the best Gors. See? Really quite simple. By the time in your campaign when you get around to recruiting Bestigors en masse, you should have enough skill points on Khazrak to be able to unlock the trait Feral Fervor, which grants normal Gors, Warhounds, those pig things, Harpies, and yeah, Bestigors, Stalk. Meaning Khazrak can field entire tier 2 and 3 level armies that are full of units that no one can fucking see. Beastmen army is typically fairly weak in a traditional engagement, only having tier 3 infantry, pretty weak cavalry, and next to no great ranged options. They suffer against a prepared enemy. While they do have a good list of monsters, Khazrak doesn't provide many buffs to these units. Besides, there are these things that exist called guns, which tend to be pretty effective against anything with a pulse. You see, the problem with melee-based armies facing off against gunpowder-heavy factions is that by the time you get within striking range, you'll already be dead. But by giving your hardest-hitting infantry both Vanguard and Stalk, you can effectively remove roughly 70% of your enemy's ranged potential the moment the battle begins. Remember that 15% ambush chance I mentioned Khazrak gives? Another great way to deprive your opponent of missile capabilities is to jump them immediately while they're all standing in a conveniently unprotected single-file line. To be successful as the Beastmen, you must be able to create and exploit opportunities both on the campaign map and in battle, and Khazrak may just be the best lord for creating such opportunities for his army. Let's do an exercise real quick. Given this scenario, what is the best possible way to position my troops for the best ratio of damage given to casualties received? If you said, put everyone in this tiny sliver of space directly behind them, you'd be right. A general rule of thought to live by is what I like to call a well-placed warhound. Example, analyze the situation here. I have 2 warhounds, Khazrak, a Gorbel, and Chariots all fighting 2 full health orc boys. However, there is a completely uncontested archer unit placed perfectly to shoot at my units. Seeing this opportunity, I remove my warhounds from combat, and when they are ready, send them around the orc boys to directly engage the unprotected unit. With their supporting fire routed, the orc boy line crumbles, and the engagement won. You always need to keep your eyes out for any openings your opponent gives you that can deliver a decisive impact. You would think that a huge army of melee infantry and monsters can operate like the greenskins, who can just W key an enemy until they die. But given how their infantry is actually pretty weak compared to other factions, micromanagement is critical to your victories. It's always a good idea to have at least one warhound of some kind in your army, because even though they do kinda suck outright, they can rack up 3-digit kills if they're held in reserve to strike at the proper moment. Or even if you wait till the battle is over and all they do is run down retreating units that you don't want to potentially fight again. Especially since single entity units fucking suck at chasing enemies down. Stop pushing him over and hit him, goddammit! Playing as Khazrak is like playing chess, but instead of setting up the board properly, you just place your opponent's king in check before the match even starts. And when they call you out for cheating, you get all mad and you storm off using the beast paths, which is why chasing down Beastmen armies when you're not playing them is so obnoxious. So now we have learned that Khazrak is a capable fighter who can buff his army against their would-be counters, and we now know how to act like a Beastman in battle. I think it's fair to say you all have a pretty good idea of... Oh, he's boxed. He's so boxed. Get him! Descend! Descend upon him! Oh my god, I boxed this guy in so good. I'm such a good Beastman player. And that's how you turn a Pyrrhic victory to a decisive victory. Because I am... I didn't want to say it. It was too obvious.
A legend.
No, Josh, I'm not a legend. I'm a goat. Ho 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 ho! Ho ho ho! Rich man belly laugh. Ho ho ho!
Indeed.
I'm not clipping that. Josh.
What?
The name of this building is Heads on Spikes. The first thing I thought of was Spike. Who the hell is Spike?
Spike. Who is Spike?
Who the fuck is Spike? When did my jacket zipper break? Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Bad Carl. Bad Carl. Go away. Okay, yeah, we gotta get rid of...
You take out Carl weakness.
What? Oh, these unbreakable great swords that are...
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Wait, what'd you just say to me? Excuse me? What are you guys doing? You're not allowed to do that. Only I'm allowed to do that. Minheim will be mine! Pro tip, always prioritize movement range. Makes life a whole lot easier. Remind me again, who said you could come back to life? Kill him now, Khazrak! Kill him now! Oh yes, wait. I'll take the replenishment and... what? They're back again?! You know what they say, the best defense is a swift and decisive offense. I was just kidding, holy shit, that actually worked.
Open the door or I'm gonna throw rocks through your windows, you dumb whore.
Oh my god. I just recreated Marcus Kruper's backstory. Okay, this is just getting absurd now.
He has the ROR Chimera.
I have a fucking howitzer.